Welcome back, boys and girls, to Knoxville Moto, and as you might have noticed, this is neither my Panigale or my Aprilia. This is our new 2025 Honda Grom. It is my wife's bike. She decided after watching a friend of ours crash at the racetrack that she wanted to learn to ride as well. And so she didn't want to start on a Ninja or anything like that. She wanted to start on a Honda Grom. So here we are. We are just about pegged out. We're doing a grand total of 59 miles an hour right now. In a complete tuck. I think this thing will max out somewhere around like 63 miles an hour downhill. So yeah, one of the cool things about this bike, this thing is so light and easy to steer. It's basically like a bicycle with a 10 horsepower motor. I mean, it is so much fun to ride at actually street legal speeds. Matter of fact, it's virtually impossible to break the speed limit on this thing, just because unless you're in like a 35 mile an hour zone, you're on any kind of back road, whatever, that's 55 miles an hour, you would be hard pressed to get yourself pulled over for anything other than going too slow. Let me get it back up this hill. Oh man. She struggles up the hill. So all of my bikes have all had quick shifters and auto blippers. And so you don't really have to do the manual work to upshift or downshift. And so to be honest, I kind of suck at it because I've never really had to do it in the past, and now all of a sudden, you know, I'm learning it on this bike. And the nice thing about it is you can learn it on this bike relatively easily and relatively safely because it doesn't have that much power. So if you accidentally dump the clutch while you're trying to downshift, you know, downshifting's not hard, right? It's downshifting while you're on the brakes and keeping the brakes steady. That's what I find to be a bit more challenging, which is, you know, pretty necessary for you to be able to do on the racetrack if you're going to be able to use engine braking. This thing is so much fun to just kind of dip around town because you can do almost anything you want. You can practice a lot of skills while never really breaking the speed limit. Everything's just kind of scaled down so you can practice at pretty safe and reasonable speeds for the most part. Yeah, it's a great little practice bike. It doesn't have a lot of power. It's, you know, I think anybody that looks at it and says 9-10 horsepower, somewhere in that range, anybody who looks at that and is surprised that it doesn't feel like it has a lot of power and is probably kidding themselves. Yeah, it's slow. Well, I'm trying to use the quick shifter and there's no quick shifter. I have to get used to this again. I'll get it eventually. Whee! Dude, every little movement that you make on this bike shifts the whole weight balance. Normally the things you could do, like hanging off the bike, I mean, that don't really upset it. On this bike, definitely you'll feel it. Any little movement is enough to cause this bike to squirm around underneath you. First gear is really super short. Second gear is also still super short. Third gear, like if you're gonna like coast through a corner or something like that, it's probably gonna be third gear in this thing. The gears are so short that whatever you're used to, just shift up a gear and that's probably about right. First gear is good for absolutely nothing but getting started. Especially like on a hill or something like that. Oh yeah. First gear is the only way to get started on a hill. It is very, very underpowered. But that's part of its charm, right? A lot of people will actually race these things. There's like entire racing classes for Groms where people ride them on go-kart tracks and stuff like that. Dude, this thing I bet would be so much fun to go blasting around a go-kart track. Some tighter corners and everything else. One of the cool things about this bike is the steering radius is a lot sharper than any of my actual sport bikes. The Aprilia, you'll get like total lock pretty easily on the Aprilia, and then the Ducati is even faster to lock than that. Like the Ducati only has a couple degrees of steering angle, so doing U-turns and stuff like that is not really easy on that bike. Look at this, no brakes, just full throttle. Just, you know, it's hard to come across the corner on this bike that you can't just go absolutely flat out. All right, we're gonna see if we can do this corner again, and we're gonna see if we can downshift it. Yeah, first gear is where it's at on this hill. See, look at that. See how slow I am on the gear changes, because I'm not used to having to manually change them. We'll get there. Somebody told us when we first bought this thing that fifth gear is kind of useless because, you know, it just doesn't have enough power. And I'd say that's probably true. You'll notice that right now going into fifth gear, the only real advantage to fifth gear is that I can cruise in fifth gear and I'm not just bouncing off the rev limiter. You know what I mean? But other than that, no, it's pretty much useless. So this is a 2025 Grom. We're probably going to do some modifications to this thing at some point or another. You know, kind of personalize it for her taste, you know what I mean? The only downside to the 2025 Grom is they just did a redesign on it. And so what that means is that functionally it means that there are no like body kits or anything like that. She wanted to do some kind of like wrap or something. In a lot of the other Groms, they have kind of pre-cut, you know, body shape wraps and everything else for them. This one, not so much, just because it's so new. And we might have to wait for something to come out or something like that. So just know that before you buy it, if you buy one, that there's still not a whole lot of accessories out for this thing just yet. So, but eventually. I think I'm going to turn around and I'm going to hit this little loop backwards. Yeah, this thing, the gearing in fifth gear, you're sometimes actually just better off in fourth gear. No cars. Yeah, see how easy it is to do a really small turning circle on this thing. Yeah, fourth gear is kind of where it's at on this thing. Especially if you're going uphill, you'll actually slow down in fifth gear. There's a part of me that wants to buy a Grom of my own and just we can mod them together and like maybe take them out to go-kart tracks and stuff like that and do, you know, Grom track days and stuff. I don't know, we'll see. Be a good learning experience for both of us. Put up maybe a Yoshi exhaust on this thing. Make it a little bit louder. Put some better tires on it. You know, the important stuff. Whee! I mean, we're doing 60 miles an hour right now, so it's not super slow. I mean, I don't know, I guess compared to any other motorcycle, it's super slow, but it, you know, you get up to 60. 60's all right. Dude, some of the first motorcycles out there would have killed to be able to get to 60 miles an hour. Oh, we actually have to use the brakes for that corner. Oh, wow, look at that. I mean, we probably don't have to. I'm sure there are some dudes out there that could very easily make that corner. Go, little Grom, go. Whee! Speed demon. Alright, guys. I think we're going to call it on this one. We're going to do some more Grom content on this channel. Dude, this thing is so much fun. as usual, ride safe, have fun, don't f it up. It keeps pulling even after the shift indicator is like totally pegged out.